All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I'm going to get into this podcast is something fitness related. If you know anything about me, I also do YouTube videos, and a lot of things I do are related to fitness. I also travel all over North America, so I actually do gym tours. So I show you all the different style gyms all over North America, or actually some of my favorite gyms, I should say. That includes some of the well-known franchises, which would include LA Fitness, 24 Hour Fitness, Lifetime Fitness, Crunch. The list goes on and on. And even Gold's Gym. I love Gold's too. Worlds, you know. There's only, two Worlds now, I think, in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, that I know of. I don't think I've done a Powerhouse, now that I think about it. Anyways, what I want to talk about today is when first learning to work out in a gym, learning how to start off light. And I'm going to explain why. I started working out literally with equipment and stuff at about 5 years old because I live near one of the biggest YMCAs, if not the biggest in Illinois. It was right across the field from me. And I used to go there with my mother because my mother worked out. She did yoga and things. They didn't have much for us to do. They didn't even have a kids center. So I would just wait with her while she did certain things. And the racquetball started to just really, handball, I don't think there was squash, started to really pick up in there. This is like 1974, 75. There was also the Chicago Health Club down the street. But my mother was huge into fitness. She likes, working out at a very young age. And I think because she just recently got divorced, she would just go there. And they had all that kind of like old school equipment. And eventually, though, then they upgraded it and then took a bunch of old, like all this real old junky stuff, it looked like probably from the 60s and stuff. It stuck it in a racquetball room or like this dead area. That's where I would sneak in because nobody was ever in there. And I would be curling and doing whatever. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I was just following what other people would do. And I had family members that were in working out with weights of all things. So I was very fortunate. He had magazines, these old magazines, real old. And I would just look at them. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just doing stupid shit. And as time went on, I just worked out with weights throughout my entire life. So I basically really I never stopped lifting weights from probably 12 years old on. My mother and father, I've discussed this before, got a divorce. My mom brought my dad a weight set. He ended up leaving, so I got the weight set. So I got the bench, that old Joe Weider style bench in the late 70s with the sand weights in them. I didn't still really know what the hell I was doing. I would just bench, curl, do tries. My father had a friend who was a prison dude. So my mom got actually it wasn't even there. It was at another guy's house. So my father owned a nightclub, and I would go and he would work out with this one guy who was a prisoner, ex-prison guy, and he would show my dad all these different types of things they did in a joint for their tries and all these different things, and then I would watch them. And then I would go and kind of emulate them. That was really my first, I guess you could say workout regimen. And then my father was a really advanced athlete too. And he would, he loved swimming and he played baseball and then basketball and other things as well. So I played all these different sports. And like I said, my mother was the one who took me to all these different types of sports. And I was like a runt. I was always the smallest, but I was one of the strongest and fastest. And I think she saw me excel in that, and that's what made her, always want to push me. But I've probably spent more time in a gym, I would say, than anybody I've ever met in my life. I've obviously curled hundreds of thousands of times, triceps, bench pressing. Like I said, I never really stopped. I really don't at this point. I was trying to think, when do I not remember picking up a dumbbell, even at a family member's house, curling, doing something with weights? And what I learned over the years, even though I'm 50 now, is, I still do some exercises improperly. Is that a word? Improper? Or not proper, I guess you could say. I think I'm saying that word correctly. Sometimes I get confused. But I still do things incorrectly. But the reason I do them incorrectly is because I'm doing something different regarding getting a different result, but people don't know that in the gym. They maybe look at me going, look at that douche. Like, he's not doing that right. I'm like, I know how to do it the way you think it's supposed to be done, which is the right way, but I'm also doing something differently. And I just did a YouTube video on this. And it was, I want people to pay attention. And not only the people that are doing exercises correctly, I mean, let's just say it's at a gym, but also incorrectly. Because a lot of times you can expose yourself for not knowing how to do things. You're doing the same thing wrong that they're doing. Right? You could be looking at somebody going, that's wrong. And then you don't realize when you're doing it wrong. But you don't know you're doing it wrong because you're kind of in it. You're not looking at it from the outside in. That could be from deadlifting, squatting, benching. Could be many different things. Could be even in yoga. But also when you're looking at somebody doing something incorrectly, sometimes that incorrect movement can work another body part really well. And I've been watching a lot of these different YouTube videos, and a lot of things that I was programmed thinking this is wrong, or that's cheating, or this and that. I never realized, like, wow, that works that body muscle or that body part really well, or that muscle group area. I had a friend who used to cheat on everything, or a lot of things, I should say. Not everything, that's ridiculous. But he cheated a lot of things, especially big movements like squatting and back. Squatting and deadlifting and things in that nature. And his theory was, even when he's cheating, he's working another body part or body group area. And I always found that funny. The only thing was he ended up damaging himself, which I eventually knew would happen just by the way he was doing certain things. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm here to tell you, back to when first starting to work out, if you're a beginner, start light and learn how to do things correctly, but also learn, the thing I tell people now more than ever, especially with YouTube, is go study all people's different types of workouts. Because that's really where, I think most people don't realize that's where you're going to get a lot of information. It's great to read about fitness. And that's what I grew up doing, reading Flex magazine, Muscle Fitness, Muscular Development, what is their Self, it wasn't even a men's journal, I think, back then. But I used to read powerlifting magazines, and then you look at photos of guys doing things. And then in the 80s and 90s, they did have on ESPN a lot of different type of workouts, which was cool to watch, even Body by Jake. And then they had other bodybuilders that I loved to watch. They either had their own videos like Dorian Yates, or they were guest spots on, again, ESPN or other channels once in a while. That's how you really get to learn, and find people that have very similar genetics that you have. That's also something I would definitely consider looking into. If you're following other guys' workouts, which there's nothing wrong with it. If you're only 5'6", and you're following a guy who's 6'4" type of workouts, again, you can do that. I mean, a body's a body. But if you could find somebody who has a very similar style body that you want, and that has similar genetics, I'd kind of watch them. Because I think that's where you're going to get your most gains, especially if you see someone who, say, for instance, you study your own body, and you're like, well, I'm shorter, my arms are shorter, but I got big tris, my buys aren't as big, and I got big quads, but my hams aren't as big, whatever the case may be. And then you find a bodybuilder that has some similar genetics that you have, where you could focus in on really how they got the most gains out of their body. Because I think a lot of people get more caught up in what they don't have in working on those muscle areas, which is fine, compared to what they have, that they can make really great gains on. And I was one of those people who I knew where I got my great gains, but I was always spending so much time on the other body parts that finally I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Let me just, work out the way I want to work out. But back to doing things light and doing them right. We used to have a funny saying. It was actually go heavy or go home, or go light and do it right. But if you're just beginning, don't beat the shit out of yourself. I've been telling a lot of people what happens, why a lot of people I think quit, is because, one, when they first join, they either have a trainer up their ass, or they're told they have to work out too many days a week, or they're doing these workouts that make them fatigue or bore them to death, especially in the gym. And maybe a gym's not even for you. But if you do want to work out in the gym, start learning how to do what works best for you. And at the beginning, start slow and go light. Make sure you learn how to use all the equipment properly, Also, there's hundreds of different things you could do with free weights. I mean, hundreds. There's thousands of different things. Tons of different movements. There's tons of different ways to squat. There's even different ways on how to deadlift. There's different ways on how to do shoulders. You could put your hands, your elbows, all these different types of positions. And really, you don't have to go heavy. Don't get caught up on the ego at the beginning. I know you may walk in there and there's guys that are, maybe even smaller than you that are a lot stronger than you, or thinner than you that are a lot stronger than you, or you may be very heavy set and you want to just lose weight very quickly or whatever, or just whatever you want to do, go slow. Learn learn about it. It's just like anything in life. Like if you went into your workplace, for instance, and if you think you're going to learn everything in a month about how your entire company runs or all the different things going on, it's kind of unrealistic. No matter how much you want to learn, you know as well as I do, after months or even years of working somewhere, you're like, oh my God, right? And then you see someone new come in and you're like, oh my God, even after a month or 2 or 6 months, you're like, they still don't get it. But the truth was, they didn't get it yet because they haven't been through it yet. They haven't met all the different type of people. They haven't learned all the different techniques. And that goes for a gym as well. But the main reason I want people to start off light is because I don't want them to get injured. And I think a lot of people who start off working out, they push themselves, which is wonderful, but they push themselves to the point where they're either doing it improperly or, again, they injure themselves because they don't know what they're doing. And that's the last thing I want to happen to people. Much better going very slow. Very slow. Even when gaining muscle, losing weight, I talk about that all the time on my podcast. Just take your time. Don't get caught up if someone's looking at you. Who gives a shit if a girl's squatting more weight than you? I don't give a shit if a girl's, or whoever, someone younger than you, half your age, is doing something better than you are. Or somebody who looks 15 years old and you're 30 is doing things that look, and you can't do what they're doing. All that is ego-driven. We're not worried about anybody in the gym except what you are and who you are and what you want to accomplish. Your weight and strength is going to come very rapid, so don't worry about that. But what's really cool is once you start learning all these different types of things in a lighter weight situation, you also kind of are working all these different body areas and groups, and you're seeing kind of what you like and don't like. I think what happens with a lot of guys, especially beginners, when they start working out, they kind of either go with a friend, and that friend may either not know what they're doing, right, because you're both new, or thinks they know what they're doing, and then you two just start working out, which is great. And sometimes the partner quits, or the partner could be weaker than you, or he could be stronger than you, and you're either trying to keep up with this person, or, whatever the case may be. My point being is you are your own individual. You have to learn to find workout routines that work specifically for you. If you're going to use different types of equipment, what hopefully you are, you're going to do that individually and see what works for you. And again, there's nothing wrong with both of you figuring, how to work out right if you're both beginners. And on the flip side, now say you join a gym and you already have a friend that's a member of the gym or friends, and you want to jump into the group and start learning what they know, and most likely they're going to be more advanced than you. Don't get caught up being obsessed with only their type of workouts, which is a great thing to start with. But the other thing is keeping up and trying to quickly catch up with where they're at with weight. Again, you can hurt yourself, or you may just look foolish. And you could strain things. You can also get very frustrated because it's maybe taking you more time to get to their level. All these different types of things. Just please relax. Start off at a moderate weight. Don't get caught up. Learn how to do it properly. Learn how to get the most out of each set, each rep. Learn how to put your mind in the muscle. Maybe even start learning on what to do before your workouts, during and after. Don't always get caught up with what everyone else is doing is basically what I'm saying, especially when it comes to weights, because everybody has different strengths. Somebody could squat more than the other person. Somebody could bench press more than the other. Somebody could curl more than the other. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, so don't get obsessed on that. Hold on, let me get some water. But yeah, back to weight back to weightlifting. Also, when warming up, you don't even have to use weights a lot of times when you first start warming up. I'm not kidding. If you want to curl, just grab a straight bar, no weights, and start curling. Warm it up a little bit. Then start adding weight. All right? Again, we want to make sure each movement we're doing is right. We don't want to jump onto something too quickly, put too much weight, and really learn how to warm up correctly. I can't emphasize this enough, especially if you're older. And I'll tell you right now, a third of my workout is warming up now. I know that sounds crazy, but my close friend who owns one of the biggest boxing and best boxing gyms in Chicago called me out on that. Because I used to go, man, my elbow hurts this day, my forearms this and that. He's like, I've worked out with you. You go too heavy, too fast. And he's like, you just don't warm up. And the more I learned how to warm up, even though it took me longer, the better I felt. And I think what happens with a lot of people is, especially beginners, they want to get in and out real quickly, right? They don't want to take that time. They're like, okay, I got an hour, I got to get out of here. Let's just get into it. You may reconsider that. You may want to start taking more time to work out before and even maybe, do some stretching. Then even after, when you're done working out, going in the sauna like I do or like a lot of others do, 10, 15 minutes, even if it's a steam, whatever the case may be, let your muscles warm up. Give them some, give them the time it needs, the proper time to get prepared to do what you want to do, and you're, I believe, going to get much better results. And I don't care what age that is. I've been now stretching for probably 20 years, but for a long time, I just properly did not warm up correctly. And I also went a lot of times too heavy, too fast on a lot of different exercises. I didn't necessarily always get hurt, but I have injured myself. My entire body's been injured at one point or another, or body group or body part. But nothing really drastic except my rotator's cuff. And I've pulled out my lower back. I can't even tell you how many times I've pulled out hamstrings. I just actually snapped my ankle on a trip to Seattle recently. I've hurt my hands. I've hurt my legs. I even doing heavy dumbbells tweaked the front of my penis, to be honest with you. Clipped it and peeled. It was brutal. But when you lift heavy weights sometimes, even squatting, very heavy weights, leg press, you sometimes injure yourself. It's just the way it is. But I still realized for me, and this is going to happen to you if you start off light, but the heavier you start to get, the more you stay focused. And that's one way you're not going to get injured. Sometimes when you're going light, I will say you got to pay attention to this. When you kind of go too light, though, I don't want you going too light. I just want you to go light enough where you keep progressing. I want you to be light at the beginning just so you learn how to move correctly with these exercises. But when you start to go heavier, it takes a lot more focus and obviously strength. But when you do go heavy, when you are starting to build up to that, make sure you are focused and paying attention, because again, it's not only that you could hurt yourself. I tell people all the time, when working out with weights, it doesn't even have to be super heavy. You can hurt somebody else in the gym. You can drop a weight on someone's foot. They could be, spotting you while you squat, and you could roll the bar off your back. You can, something can fall off the dumbbell and fall on somebody, like even if you don't put clamps on. You don't think something's going to happen, and then before you know it, it does. And it can be very scary. You can be like doing triceps on a cable, for instance, and it could slip out of your hands, come up and catch your face. I've almost had that happen. I've even been bench pressing by myself, went too heavy, it got stuck. I had to roll it. It rolled to my throat. I literally almost died. I'm not exaggerating. I had to go once left and right, and then one time I had to roll it off my chest to my stomach. That's when I was younger. A lot of stupid shit I did. But that's what you do. When you're young, you do stupid shit. But I don't want you to do stupid shit if you're listening to this. You don't have to go through all that. Just stay focused, start light, and keep progressing. And if you want, and I'm going to do a video on this, is start taking notes if you're a beginner. And I can't emphasize this enough. I never really did this. And you could do them on your phone or you could do it on a book. But when you first start off, kind of write down your workout routines, the amount of sets you're doing, the amount of reps you're doing. At the beginning, it may become a little daunting, but this is going to be an unbelievable tool in the future for you. Like if you could, just write down your first few months of workouts, and most likely you're going to get some great gains at the beginning because, like anything else, it's new muscle groups, you're doing something physical, and it's going to hopefully gravitate. And that's where you get a lot of gains at the beginning. After a certain amount of time, things level off, but at the beginning especially. But you're also going to have notes that you could reflect back on and say, wow, this worked. Why did this work out? This week I went up 10 pounds, and then the next week I went up 10 pounds, and the next week I only went up 5 pounds. Does that mean I'm getting weaker? Or does that mean, what did I do differently? Also, you could take notes, just write notes saying after your workout or during your workout, wow, I felt this way after doing this. I felt winded after doing this amount of reps, or, whatever the case may be. It's like a diary of your workout regimen, and I think that's an incredible tool, and I would definitely recommend that for somebody who's a beginner. And then as time goes on, you don't have to keep doing that. It's all going to go in your head. But I'm telling you, if you're especially somebody who kind of is inconsistent in the gym, who starts off gun-ho or dreads going, either way, right? But ends up always quitting, or does a workout for a week, takes 2 weeks off, comes back for a month, takes a week off, comes back for a couple weeks, takes 2 months off, that shit. If you have a diary of your workouts, it'll kind of give you an idea of why you're being inconsistent, I think, a lot of times too, because you're like, I noticed that every time I quit, it's because I'm doing this. And then when I come back, I noticed this happens. So like I said, it's a diary, and it's a great tool. So I definitely would consider that. But I'm going to wrap it up there. But please do not get caught up with the ego and the weight at the beginning of your workouts. You're most likely, regardless if you go light, medium, or heavy, you're going to get sore. Okay? Now, that does not mean I'm not ever telling you to keep pushing yourself forward. I want you to always become as strong as you can and realize that you have an incredible amount of potential. You just have to realize that, for one, mentally, and also you have to go after that. Don't sell yourself short. Don't give yourself the pass. A lot of people don't realize how much muscle they can build, how strong they truly can become, because they quit on themselves a lot of times. Don't do it to yourself. Keep pushing yourself. Keep moving forward. All right? All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, you might want to check out my YouTube channel if you like this. I talk about tons of different things related to fitness with inside gyms all over North America. I even do gym tours. So you can find that on my richcelenza.com. Even if you put in YouTube my name, Rich Celenza, you'll find me there. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. All right? All right, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels. And, if you like this regarding fitness, you could check out my other podcast. I do a lot of other things regarding fitness on there as well. All right, take care.